Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Forever Finalist, Josh Dunkerley, and today we'll be going over how to do this bolter. I'm going to be doing mine in red. They can be done in really any color, but I'm just doing it in red to help contrast this Dark Angel. So the first thing I'm going to do is paint black on all the spots that I won't be doing the color, because I'm going to do non-metallic metal on all those spots. So hold on one sec, guys, just making sure I got everything lined up. Alright. So anything that's going to be not the red color, but the non-metallic metal, metal is going to be painted black. And for those that are uninitiated, NMM means non-metallic metal. TMM means true metallic metal. As you guys can see, I'm just literally going around and painting all the parts that need to be black. I do have a wet palette over here on the side, so do make sure to be using a wet palette or something when you're mixing your colors, or to make sure that they're watery enough to actually transfer to the mini. Yeah. You want to be real careful around these edges where you've already painted, because you don't want to mess up what you've already done, like that hand there. Got a hair on the model. Give me 1 second. I gotta pull that off. Messing with my eyeball. There we go. So you can see I'm not being super careful, because I'm going to come back and hit this with the red. But I just got to get all these areas that are going to be the not red black, so they're ready for the NMM color later. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. I'm just trying to keep engaged while we're doing this. Yeah, the scope is going to be metal. This piece of the gun barrel. And like I said, you want to be real careful not to mess up what you already have, so just be cautious when you're moving around parts that you've already painted. There we go. And now lastly, the last black part. Oh, this trigger too. Could we leave the trigger red? Now let's do the little bit of black for the trigger too. Okay, and the actual barrel of the gun is going to be metal as well. Like I said, you can see I'm not being real clean with the just getting it on here so it's there. And I do drill out my gun barrels. You don't have to. You can actually see it. The light goes all the way through the side and the front of the barrel there. But you don't have to do that. I just do that because it looks better for competitions or for any of the good shows. And this one's for charity, so of course you want the charity models to look really good. I'm using my vortex mixer over here on the side for my next color. So the next color is going to be corn red. That last color was Abaddon black. I apologize if I didn't show that to begin with. I figure any black will work. So if you have black, it's black. Okay, so now I'm just going to get some of this corn red on my palette here. Get it ready to apply. Okay. So now I'm literally just going to paint all the rest of the gun red because that's the color I want the gun to be. Once again, being very careful and aware of the parts you have already painted so you don't paint them again. You can always go back, it's not a big deal, but it is easier if you can hit it on that first go and not have to keep going back. Get a little more in center there. And I'm going to do this in 2 thin coats as well because, once again, 2 thin coats seems to always work better than 1 big thick coat. Gives you a nice smooth base color. Once again, you can see I'm just being really careful around these hands where I've already finished all that green. Because you want to cover everything, but you don't want to cover what you don't want painted red. It's okay on the parts of the gun that we're going to come back on. It is not as much okay on the parts that are finished. Not that you can't fix those, just, yeah, it's already finished. You would rather not have to go back and do a refinish on a finish. Now, like I said, you can paint your bolter whatever color you want it to be. This could be blue, this could be black. It's the same technique every time. Actually, you can see I'm coming back and doing my second wipe right now on these parts that are already dry on the front here. Come back and fix that trigger. Hit the trigger a little bit there. It's okay. Alright, so now we want to get the bottom of the gun barrel. Bottom of the gun, sorry, not the barrel. And now start the other side of the gun. You can see I'm just getting really extra cautious around the parts I'm finished, like the hand, gun there, thumb. You may hear me whistle sometimes. When I get bored, I start to whistle. Can't help it. If you could see, I'm doing my best to apply this without hitting any of the parts we've already finished, because I really do not want to have to go back and do the green on that hand. Not that it's impossible or that I couldn't do it again, it's just it takes a while. It already looks great. I would rather not muss it up. You could do this while this bolter is unattached. The only reason mine's attached is because, once again, I was doing this for a charity mini, and I was doing the airbrushing to begin with for the zenith highlighting, which you kind of want the mini assembled when you do that because it's going to show you where the actual light hits. But if you do that, remember that now you're going to have to paint around everything very, very carefully. very, very carefully. I apologize if I get slightly off camera here. I'm trying to... These are really tough spots here because it's the tightest part against the chest. Trying to make sure that this full gun gets hit without messing everything else up. Oh, I did hit his finger on the inside there. Just using a little wah flesh to fix that green. I just messed up. Thankfully that was an inside finger and not an outside finger. Inside fingers are a little easier to hit. Alright, you can also see I hit a little bit of this here. So you can just go back and touch that up as well. No big deal. And that does the inside of the gun and the outside of the gun. So now I'm going to do the top because the bottom's already done. Sorry, I'm getting a little silly here. Just been a long couple weeks now, guys. It's going to get longer and longer with this virus being here. I'm used to being inside because I always am painting, but it's the whole thing of you really shouldn't be outside, period. It's tough not going outside, period. I mean, you can, but you don't want to be around people, so you're kind of trying to avoid crowds, and I live in Maryland. That's not so easy. Oops, sorry guys. Hopefully soon I'll be on Twitch, and then you guys can yell at me every time I get off camera. You can go, "Hey, get back on camera. What you doing? You're getting too far off camera." And then I'll be like, "Sorry guys, I didn't mean to. I'm trying." Okay, I think that does it for my red. My initial layer of red all over. And most of it I've been doing the second layer as I've been going. Just this top kind of needs a little bit more. A little bit more down these sides, a little. Down this side. Alright. Now once I get all this red in, don't forget the front of the gun too if you're going to be painting it a different color, because this is this area here is not the gun barrel. This is the front of that red wrap around the gun. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is put on a Gerberg Crimson wash. Like I said, if you hear that weird noise on the side, that's my vortex mixer. I do recommend getting one. They are expensive. Don't buy the cheapy ones, the little $80 ones. They will blow on you within 3 months, and then you'll be upset that you spent $80 on something that blew in 3 months. Go for the 100 or more ones. I know that's expensive, but I'm telling you, your arm will thank you in the end. You won't have to shake any more paints. So I'm just letting that dry for a minute. right there is a little funny looking, so I'm going to add a little more paint there. As I said, I hit that trigger earlier, so I can just come back and hit that trigger with some black again. Alrighty. And you can see, there you go, it's already all, it's starting to look like a red gun. Once this gun's done, this guy is pretty much done. I just got to finish the base, which will take an extra day just because I use the texture paints. And I do recommend, if you use the texture paints, let those suckers dry for a full 24 hours before doing anything to them. If it's crackle paint, if it's the dust, those like Strickland mud, whatever it is, even if it looks dry, give it a full 24 hours, and then you can dry brush it. People constantly say that the crackle paint falls off. It's because it looks dry, but it's not dry. And then when they go to do something with it, it snaps off, and they think that that's because they didn't apply it thick enough. And usually they applied it thick enough. It's just that they didn't let it dry long enough. So always 24 hours with those texture paints. Ugh. But they do make making bases a lot easier, because you can paint them on afterwards. What I used to do is take a PVA glue and put a layer all the way across, and then dip them in sand, almost like you'd be dipping in glitter, and shake them off before I put any paint on. And then when I'd spray them black, those pieces of dirt would be attached to the base and give you a texture to actually work with. I'm going over some of these basing techniques because I probably won't be filming how to do the base. I'll do one later on, but just giving you some tips on basing if you get to that point. I'm just waiting for the sucker to dry a little so I can throw some Gerberg Crimson on it. And then while the Gerberg Crimson is drying, I'm gonna I might just hit it with the hair dryer so we can get it quick dry. Our buddy the hair dryer. Oh, it's extension cord for this one today. Had to test it, make sure that cord worked. Alrighty, and that is pretty much dry. So now I'm going to take the Gerberg Crimson, make sure it's fully dry. I'm just going to hit this with the hair dryer for a second. Once again, full on high. Alright. Yeah, now it's dry. So now I'm just going to take Gerberg Crimson, and that's going to go over the whole red area here. You can see I'm just going over every bit of the red. Front, back, sides. You still want to be careful around your green, although now with a wash you can kind of just pull it off if it hits it, if you get it quick enough. And now the back of the gun. And you can see I just hit there, so I'm just gonna. You see what I mean about how it can just come off if you get it quick with the washes, not the paint. If the paint does that, sometimes you get it off that way. Sometimes you just smear it up that way. So don't do that as much with paint. But with washes, sometimes it'll save your butt. Alright, need to get a little more here in the back. Sorry guys, I know I'm getting a little off camera here. Like I said, today's just been a weird one. I'm trying to stay on camera, but I don't know why it's proving hard today. Get this right here on the front too. Like I said, anywhere the red is. Alright. Now, normally, like I said, you'd let that dry, but we're going to do this the quick way, so I'm going to pull out the hair dryer again. Alright, now some reds you can go right into the highlighting phase with if you want to keep it like this deep dark red. I'm going to go back and just add a little bit of corn red to any of the parts where I want it to start getting brighter. I'm not going to do this to the whole thing, just certain pieces so that it looks a little brighter in areas than other areas. And you'll see, like, it doesn't make much of a difference right now because it's corn red on top of corn red with a little bit of Gerberg crimson, but once the highlights are on, you'll see these areas will pop a little more than the rest of the areas. So I'm just going to put it near all the edges. Look up in here. A little bit up in here on this corner and this corner. And now I'm going to come back. Any of these top areas, that's going to be hit pretty hard. And I'm going to bring that back into here. So it's all the same all the way across into the tail section. Same thing on this front end of this gun. And up here. And right here. Like I said, anywhere that, you know, the light's going to make it look a little bit brighter red. A little bit here on the fronts of these guns. Alright, and now I'm going to hit these little top bits. right here in this corner as well. Alright, now that's my base red down. So now I am going to start doing my highlights, and my highlights are going to start with a 50-50 mix of Evil Sun Scarlet and Corn Red. Normally I would just use Mephiston Red at this point, but I don't have any, and as we all know, the shops are kind of closed right now, so I'm just going to have to make my own. Alright, so this is my first edge highlight. So I'm literally just going to edge all the red bits with this. Right now I'm edging everything because this is a very not high colored red. But as we get more to the real bright colors, I'm not going to edge the whole thing. I'm just going to edge the highest spots. And I'm sorry if I'm being quiet, but when you're edging, that's like the only time. It's really hard to talk and edge at the same time. So as soon as I am done edging, I'll be back to talking, chit-chatting. But yeah, you could see I'm just edging literally the whole thing in this color. As it gets closer to that chest, you don't have to worry as much about this because that's where it's going to be dark anyway. Okay, so now I've edged the whole thing in that 50-50 mix. Oh, I forgot to do the... Here we go. Sorry, guys. Forgot to do this little front barrel. This little piece here. Okay, so now the whole thing's been edged in that. So now I'm going to take Evil Suns, just straight Evil Suns. And then we're going to start edging just to the high spots. So, I edge up here, right here where the light hits the most. Like I said, up in here, it's still going to be hitting all the way along this top edge. Any of the high points is pretty much what we're highlighting now. Oh, I didn't want to hit those fingers. Let's see if we can get it off. We might be able to. A little bit of water, come on. Nope. This is moot green, guys. I'm just having to touch up the fingers because I just hit all of them. There we go. Alright. Alright, continuing with this Evil Sons. So I want to have some down here in these corners, these little circles. Any corners you want to brighten up. Alright, that does the front of the gun. Oop, hold on. Try one more time to get this a nice clean line so it doesn't hit the fingers. There we go. Okay, and you can see that got a little too bright, so now I'm just going to come in here, put that corn red, and bring that back down a little so it meshes into the rest a little bit. See? You just bring it right back down. Alright, and now I'm going to get these top sides of the gun. So this guy here, this guy here, this guy here. We're going to go across this front again. Alright. Like I said, along the whole top edge here you want a nice highlight. Edge highlight. Along this edge here. Up into here. And here. You can hit this little guy if you want. There we go. And then on the top of the gun, you're still going to need to hit these little guys. Just trying to make sure you guys can see everything I'm doing with these edge highlights. Edge highlights, like I said, they're the only part you kind of got to be really concentrating on while you're doing them. For me anyway. Most stuff I can do pretty easily without having to pay too terrible attention, but edge highlights are not one of those. Alright, if you can see, it's starting to have like a much more distinct color to it. Alrighty. Now is where we're going to get real specific with our edge highlighting. So now, this is Troll Slayer Orange. And I'm not doing any mix of this one. I'm just going up to this as the next highlight. But this is literally just going to be as close to any corner or highest edge that you can. So up here, in this little corner, here, here, up in this little corner here, leading edge there. Like I said, every corner. This one I'm just touching up a bit because I went too far on the edge there. There we go. So down here in this corner, here, and the orange does not want to, sometimes orange is a tough one. Right here in this corner, yeah. Over in this, right here. come down into this corner. I'm going to help like walk it into this corner, the orange, so that it looks like it's coming to that edge. Same thing with this one. Okay, now with the orange, you're also going to have to hit these bolts. So that bolt, these two little circles here. Don't worry guys, I am going to go over how to do the non-metallic metal as well. There, got this little edge here. Went a little too far on that little edge there. Come back with some black. Alrighty. All the bolts. So that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and this one. There's all the bolts. Alright, and then we got to do the same thing with the top of the gun. So I'm just going to drag this orange across this edge because you don't want it along that back edge. And then right here on the front and right here on the top. Now I got to do the same thing along this whole back side. So all these corners. And remember, if you get too much, you can always just come back with a little red and touch it up. See? Brings it right back in. Right along this edge. Along this edge, and along this edge. And there. Alright, and now the bolts. So there's a bolt. There's a bolt. 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 This little straight piece here. And there's some bolts back here. Whoop. That there is not a bolt. Alright, let's get this a little bit more. So I'm just, like you can see, I'm just giving these orange areas to anywhere that I want it to be really, really bright on any of these corners or edges. Alright, and now if you want to give it a little bit of a metal pop, all you have to do is take white scar and put this in just a dot on each of the very, very corners of the gun where you've got those orange spots, but just, I'm talking a dot. You do not want to even drag the brush. Like, that much. Literal tiniest specks of white. And you have to come back with your other colors just to touch up what you mess up with the white, because you don't want too much. So you're just literally giving it little white dots. Same thing where any of your bolts are. That was a big mistake there. I tried to walk that across, but it did not work. So I'll walk that down in colors now to get it back to the way it was. There we go. Yeah, so I'm not planning on doing that with mine. So I'm just going to go back and hit those little dots with orange again. But that would be how you would do if you wanted it to have that reflective red color. If you wanted it to be like non-metallic red. But I just want this guy to have like a worn red gun to contrast well with his rest of his stuff. There we go. So that's the red color. You can see that's pretty much done on there. And now what I'm going to do is go back and do these this non-metallic metal, so you guys can see how that's done. So we have all the areas that I want non-metallic metal are already black. So my next color is going to be Eshin Gray. This is not as hard as people make it out to be. Really, it's more about just knowing where to put it. So we're going to go over most of that here. So with the Eshin Gray, take the Eshin Gray, we're going to go over any of these bolts, these big spots, surfaces. You're going to edge anything that's tight or can't be just fully painted. You can see I'm just keeping it to the back end here. Okay, so that's that whole piece. Eshin Gray down here, you're just going to bring it into this middle of there, across this bottom edge, these two pieces here. You can paint the back of it if you want to. I'm actually going to just paint that all Eshin Gray there. Okay, so this piece, keep it kind of to the front of this barrel and pull it to the back. And now I'm going to hit this thing. Same thing, any of the bolts you're just going to all the way in, and any of these parts you want to just hit this top edge along your side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to drag this right across this edge here where you can see the light is actually bouncing already. Same thing there. Little piece there. Alright, and now along this top, You just want to hit these weird little doodads that they got sticking up off the top of the gun. And now for these side barrels, you want literally right here in the middle, guys. This barrel, we can pretty much coat the whole thing. Now same thing on the back, so you're just going to bring it straight across this, like that. Non-metallic metal is always super messy until it's done. Okay, and see how that's like, you just want to make sure that it, there we go. See how there's the black line there and there's a black line? Yep, there on the bottom. I don't know if you could see that. It's tough to see because the colors. You'll see it better as we put on the next few colors. So that's the Eschen Gray. So next is Mechanicus Standard Gray. Ooh. Put a little bit on my wet palette like I do with every color. Alright, now with Mechanicus, you're going to want to start edging. Once again, like you did last time, literally this is the edge everything paint. If you went a little too far, just bring the black back in. Alright, and more Mechanicus for this edge here. You're going to want to do this on this little circle thing. Alright, and now same thing for down here. Oop, that was a little much on this side. So same thing for down here. You're just going to want to hit these two little lips here, this spot here, and then this here, this bottom edge. Like I said, you don't have to do much with the back, so you can literally just, this could be it for the back there. There we go. Alright, so now I'm going to put more Mechanicus. Like I said, with this piece, you want it in the front and kind of pulled to the back, more to the front, because you want this to reflect in the front more than the back. The upper edge of this circle. Now I'm going to have to reduce sizes in my brushes here to a 000 because the rest of this is really tiny. So you're going to come across this top edge here. Same thing on the back. And now those top doodads again. And the barrels. So just right here in the center of the barrel. Right here in the center of this. Right here in the center of this. You can do the inside of the barrel and kind of pull the outside a little bit. And then same thing on the back side, so just here in the center. Alright. Now we're doing Administratum Gray. Administratum Gray. Now this is just going to be edging and, once again, farthest corners. Put some on my wet palette. Now remember, each time you edge, you got to get tighter and tighter. So this one, you're going to want to just here in the corners. And any of these edges. Same thing on this bottom piece. So now you're just going to hit these two little, like, sticking up parts. This edge here. Oh, too much. Too much. You said it's okay if you hit it too hard. You just go back and touch it up. Into any corners, any edges, and you're hitting with Administratum Gray. Okay. Also, this is going to be starting to be your reflection color, so you want to come in here like on this gun bit here and put Administratum Gray here where it's going to be the reflection. I actually put a little too much in there. Overdoing it left and right, aren't I, guys? And get that thin black line back in there. There we go. Alright, now we're just going to take the Administratum Gray and you just want a line here in the front. You can put a line here in the back too, where, you know, the metal comes in. Alright, and now this Administratum Gray, same thing we did with the other piece. We're going to come around this edge of this circle here. Straight down here. Same thing on the back of the gun. The strip here. and then that little spike back there in the back there. Alright, now with the Administratum Gray, you don't just have to hit these little doodads now. Now we have to actually edge this whole thing. So what we're going to do is edge here. Literally all the lines on this gun you have to do this with. Ooh. Sorry guys, I'm getting a little uncomfortable. Okay. So you're just gonna, like I said with this color, you gotta edge this whole thing. If you miss, you can always come back with the black and touch it up. There we go. That was too much again. This is the hardest part of NMM, is edging. It always is, because it's got to be perfect. I'm just doing the same thing on the back of the gun now. Alright. Like I said, you're literally trying to edge this whole thing, and then you've got to kind of walk these colors into each other. Now I'm going to come back once again with the black. This is a back and forth process, just like the normal NMM, and just redefine these lines. Some of these lines are really goofy on the scope. I don't know why it wants to do that every time. I'm getting there, guys. Just bear with me. Okay, and now you're going to have to do the Administratum Gray also on this little tiny piece of the oscilloscope. Good gosh, it does not want to. Sit on there right, does it? So there you go. That's That's still not right. Let me come back and hit that a little better. The problem is that GW has such thin parts and there's no brush that is that tiny. There we go. That's probably the best we're going to get there. Sometimes you gotta just take what you can get. Get the whole front of the scope a little better. Alright, and now same thing on the barrel here. Right there in the middle. And then you're going to walk this all the way around this edge. And same thing on the inside. If you mess up, it's okay. Just come back and do a little touching up. Alright, and then same thing on this back end. Right there in the middle, right there in the middle, and right there at the top. I'm having trouble seeing what's off with that in this light. Alright. This is that administratum gray. Ooh, a little too much there. Back that back down. This is some of the Eschen gray just to bring it back in line. There we go. Alright, and now the final color for this is going to be white, which is just, once again, this is just going to be in your highest edges. So on this back, you're just going to put it here, in this corner, here in this corner. Whoa. Man, I am all sorts of off today, guys. I so apologize for this. Right there in the corner. Right there on the edge of the gun. And you get this edge of the circle. Okay, all these little doodads here again. Oh, that was way too much. Way too much, guys. Way too much. I sincerely apologize for this, guys. I am really, really trying here. Alright, so this gun piece here, you're just going to want to get the bottom edge of this with the white, bottom edge of this one with the white, hit the corner of this, the corner of this. You got to hit up here where you'd already hit with that little spot of administratum. Both sides, front and back. Same thing on this back side. And now for this piece, the scope, you're just going to want it at all these edges where very, very, very corner of those edges. Like I said, this is very, very difficult with this is the most difficult part because it's edging, and it's just got to be a lot of tiny details. There. If you need to go back with the black, don't be afraid to go back with the black and clean it up a little. White's one of those colors, like it only likes to stay wet on the brush for like 2.5 seconds, so you have a very limited time to get it onto the model before it decides to say, I don't like you, and stop working. Or it does that, where it ruins a whole section of your model. So now I gotta try and bring that back into line because that just screwed up that whole area. Give me a second, guys. I gotta get this brush fixed a little better because it is not holding a point, and when it doesn't hold a point, you cannot do this. So now you can see I'm just taking the white and putting it right there at that edge. Jeez. Like I said, I apologize, guys. I really wanted this one to be a really good one, but it's been tough. Something about that bolt just does not look right. And that's the thing with non-metallic metal, everybody, is like you can see it with your eye. Something will not look right about it. And you just got to keep playing with it until it does look right. And I'm just going to keep going back and forth. I'm sorry if I don't talk as much on this one. I'm just trying to get it to work. Just pay attention to what I'm doing and not what I'm saying, because this is a very difficult process. This is that pure white again. Pure white. And I hope you're starting to see how it works, but something just not right on there, and I cannot figure out for the life of me what it is. There we go. That looks, better. Not perfect, but better. Alrighty, so now we're going to try and get that pure white in there again without flubbing this whole thing up. So we got to get it in here, in here, in here, right in there, right in there. And I think that's as close as we're going to get, guys. I will put this up on the pictures up online like I usually do. Really hoping this comes out a little better when I get finished here. There we go. I'm going to put a little bit more administratum gray right inside here, because it looks like it's not a, looks like there's no reflection in there. There we go. We got a little reflection in there. Bring in a little black around the edges. Alright, and finally, the barrel of this gun. So you're just going to want to edge right around these edges where it's the brightest. And if you can, pull a little streak of white right here at the end. As I said, my brushes are something else today. I cannot get them to keep the right amount of paint on here, so I apologize. I really wanted this to look a little better, but sometimes things just don't work out. That administratum gray, I'm just trying to give it a little bit of color. This is just pure white again. Bring that last little bit in there. Alrighty. And that's pretty much it. Oh, I guess I could do this little guy too, if you guys want to see how to do that little guy. We'll do that with non-metallic gold. So brine oxide, start in color. If I can get it to come out of the jar. Alrighty. So take some Rhinox hide. If I can get it to actually get on my palette here. Alright, so Rhinox hide. I'm just going to paint this whole thing with Rhinox hide. Alrighty. Same thing on the back. Make sure you get it everywhere. Okay. Now we have the Rhinox hide on there. Next color is going to be XV88. And for the XV88, I'm just going to put this on all the high spots. So like the top of the skull area here, down here on the bottom of the skull. And then just try and drag it out to the wingtips. I did too much there. Alright, so on the front of the skull, the wingtips. And as you can see, this is very, once again, very, you just gotta be tight and clean with it. So there's the XV88 on there. Once again, anywhere you flubbed up, just go back and clean up with the Rhinox hide. Do the same thing on the back here. Like I said, get all the way to the... Oh, that was a bit much. Alright, once the XV88's on there, now we're going to go Everland Sunset. Same thing here on this back end. I don't know why. Pulling it from the top seems to always let it hit the wings a little easier. There you go. Now lastly, you're going to take white, pure white, and just at the wing tips. Top of the skull, bottom of the skull, any corner to the wing. See, the back didn't come out as good, so you're going to want to do a little deeper outline. If you lose it, just give it a little deeper outline. Bring it back in. Alright, and there we go. And that is the bolter complete. I will once again take photos of this and post it up with the actual video, and you can check it out there. And thank you for joining us, and I will be back next Monday with another video. Thanks again. Bye.